Hello, are you new to hand knitting and you don't know how to begin? Today I want to show you exactly how you can create a blanket like this, and I will show you where to get it, and I will have everything you need in my captions as well. So let's start by figuring out which colors you would like. If you want to do the exact same blanket as this one with the border, then you will need 5 bundles of yarn. So let's get ready, and we will start by going to Hobby Lobby, but of course you can choose any store you would like. And it could be overwhelming once you get there because they have so many beautiful colors. So anyway, go to Hobby Lobby, and then there you will decide what you would do. In my case, I got 3 things of ivory, 1 taupe, and 1 forest green. You only see 4 right here, but I added 1 more for the border. Anyway, when you get back home, make sure your surface, your work area is clean and ready to go. You don't want to be knitting with a bunch of other stuff. That's way too overwhelming. Anyway, so now we are ready. And again, I only have 4 bundles right here, but I already had an extra ivy. You can use any other color for the border if you choose to put it on. If not, don't worry about it. This is all you need. And you can even choose the same color for everything. That is so easy. But so let's get started. You want to have some scissors and a lighter ready, sharp scissors and a little lighter. And if you don't like the fusing, then you can tie knots. Anyway, so I like to line mine up in the order I like to knit. Always makes it easier once you're going. So I will do the forest right there, and then the ends will be the same. I think that is super pretty, and this is how I think I will do it. Anyway, I have all the information on this yarn from Hobby Lobby, Eternal Bliss. I have all the information in the comment section there, or the captions, description. You can go back and read about it. But anyway, this is 28 yards each, 226 grams, and it is 8-ounce yarn. So also this blanket we are making is a 30 by 46, but with the border, if you choose to do the border, it will be 31 by 47. And you can stop after we do the blanket, but if you choose to do the border, then you just continue watching to the end. And again, before we get too into all this, make sure you subscribe, like, share, do all the good stuff. So here you have your yarn. You will find the end. It's usually hiding inside. And then you will lay it out on your clean. You can do it on your dining table, your kitchen table. Some sit on their bed. You can do whatever. I just feel a flat surface is the best. And you just need a little tail, and then you will do your first loop, and it looks like a 9. I always call it a 9. And then you will go under, and then you will grab it with your 2 fingers. And don't tighten it yet. I like to just keep it loose for a while. And these loops for the beginning chain will be about 3 fingers wide. Don't do it any tighter than that for the border, then you will have that curve on the border, and you don't want that. So in this case, for this baby blanket, I started with 20 loops. So this loop we just created, the chain, is the first loop. You just put your pinchers in between and you grab your working yarn. Make sure that your yarn is in the direction you are going. This case, you are going to the right. It's much easier that way. And then try to stay consistent with your loops. Kind of measure as you go. Make sure that you have your 3 fingers. And also, if you do too small or whatever, it's easy enough to go back and then do the chain one more time. So we go all the way, and as I said, I am doing 20 loops total. However, I want to show you that the last 2 loops I will do a little bit smaller. And the only reason for that is that so the corner will be a little less loosey-goosey. I'll show you here in a minute. So you just try to stay consistent, and you might have to practice a few times, and that is totally fine. It takes some practicing to keep your loops consistent in size. So this is 18, and then the final 2, I will make them a 2 finger wide. Like that. And then that last loop, you will pull that in the upright position. So because now we will go up and back to the left. See, now that corner is a little bit tighter. Had you not done the tighter loops, then it would be wool flimsy right there. But it's only a preference. You just point it up, and now we're going left. So you can see the little loops. These loops I will do 2 fingers wide, so they are smaller than the chain. Always make them smaller. And here you see the little bumps. You will pull the yarn through each one of them. And you don't have to rush. You make it just how you want to do it. You know, take your time, but just try to stay consistent with the size. And also try to keep your loops close together so you don't have a gap. And as you go, you can kind of check it out, and you can measure, you can do all that. So you will feel with your left hand as you go, you will kind of feel that next loop. See, don't make it loose like this, then you will have all that stuff going on in the back. You don't want that. So keep your loops together and the same size. You can kind of push it with your right fingers, push it through so it is not loose, and there are no gaps. And don't feel frustrated if your blanket don't come out just the way you want it the first time. That is totally fine too. Believe me, my first blanket was a crazy mess, but it's still my favorite because it reminds me of where I started. This is the beginning chain. You just put it through that, and now I would tighten that first loop. So here you have it. You can double count, make sure you have the amount you need. And for a blanket like this, you can do, even if you had 21 or 19, it would be fine. It's more if you start doing patterns, you want to kind of have the correct amount. So I skipped that first one. I have a lot of tutorials on why and how and all that. I call it the thumb. I skip it so my edge will be more like a braid and it will look nicer and cleaner, I think, but it's a preference. You can totally knit them. So I'll start with that second, and again you keep them just a 2 finger wide, keep them consistent, and now you will knit all the way to the right and make sure your yarn goes in that direction. You guide your yarn with your hands and make sure there is no loosey-goosey yarn in the back, so you keep the tension on your yarn, your working yarn, as well as keeping your loops close together. So now you will knit all of them, including the one we skipped there, but now you want to make it a little bit bigger since we are starting with the other loop going back. Otherwise, your sides could be a little curvy. So this is how I do it. They're a little bit bigger. So when you go back and you start with that second loop again, then they will be the same height. This way your edges will not curve, but you will have a beautiful edge out of it. And if you are doing the border, you can totally knit all the way knit them twice, that is fine. See, it's a nice braid. And also there are so many other ways you can improve your blanket and do them different, but we're just doing kind of sort of the easiest way. And here is that final one that we skipped. Now you will pull that up and make sure that it is taller than that next loop right there. And you just continue like this. And if you really want it easy, you just stay with the same color. Then you can change the color at any point you run out. But when you change the color, then you will have to wait till the end. You don't want to change the color in the middle. And to make sure you have enough, you want to kind of do 3 lengths of yarn. That's the rule of thumb. That will make sure that you have enough to do another row. So let's see here. So yes, I can do 1 more, but then I will have to change the yarn. If you continue with the same color, then you can just continue. It makes it easier. So let's go to the other side and change the color. And here we are. And since I am skipping that final loop, I also want that loop to be my next color. So I will pull the yarn out from the second to the last, right where it ends, right there. But I will pull it out so it's easier to cut and fuse. And you are then fusing the little plastic piece in the middle. Try not to burn the yarn itself, because you can have some hard edges if you do that. And if you feel that they are hard, then you can just trim it again and try again. But it's not the yarn you are burning. Actually, it is the little plastic piece in the middle. You can feel it with your fingers. If you're not comfortable with that, you can tie 2 knots and then you can just cut it short. So this yarn is so bulky that it's very forgiving. So see, it is just the middle little piece burning, and now it will melt together. And it holds up very well. You just wash your blanket in cold water only, and I do not put mine in the dryer. I hang them to dry. But if you feel it needs a little fluffiness and be a little softer again, then you can always put them in the dryer on low for like a few minutes. So now that new color will be my next, or the first loop for the next row. And a lot of you always ask how many rows I am doing. I usually don't count my rows. I just go per skein. But I did do about 11 rows with the first Ivory, and I did 16 with the 14 with the forest color. Anyway, see, you want to keep them close together like that, so you don't have that big gap. So that's your main focus when you knit. Loops are small and close together. And I did the same with my 2 remaining colors. And again, to close off your blanket, you want to make sure that you have at least 3 lengths of yarn left. So closing off, you will grab that final loop, and then your working yarn will go through that second one, but you want to make it loose so they are bigger. And then you will pull it through that first one, and don't pull it or force it or anything. You don't want your edges to be too tight. They will curl if you do it too tight. So the loop you're pulling up is looser, bigger, and then you will just grab it in between like that. You have this beautiful braid. And remember, this is a video you can stop if you need to catch up and all that. You can go back anytime. That's why it's so easy on YouTube to do that. So the final loop, also you grab it a little bit bigger and you will pull it through. And now you have 1 loop left. So you will cut your yarn You don't need very much, and you will just run it through that final loop. You pull it, but make sure you don't pull it too hard because it can break. So what I do, I kind of weave it in the side or the back, and then I will cut it and fuse the little final part on the inside of the yarn. So for this blanket right here, I used 4 bundles of yarn from Hobby Lobby. And also, if you want to be finished right here, you did a great job. Tell me or show me if you can. But if you want to put the border around it, you need 1 more bundle of yarn, and it can be any color. I just did the ivory. And I would just fuse it on the inside of the braid. Like right there. And you will do the same where you started your blanket on the beginning. See, you can't even tell. This is where we started. I just weave it in the side. Don't tighten it too much. You don't want it to curl. And you can leave it like this, or you can just, for extra security, you can just fuse it right there. I had that little piece of yarn right there so I could count the rows after the chain. And there you have it. You could be done right now, and bravo, I am so proud of you. But in case you want to do the border, here you go. You grab your next piece of bundle, and you would just leave a little tail. And you can start at any corner. And here you want to do the whole braid, so you grab 2. The corner can be a little hard because this is where we started and everything. But make sure you have both. And then you will pull your yarn through. And you will leave your tail on the bottom. It's easier if you turn the blanket and you go sideways actually. See, you go through both of the braids on the side. And it's each loop, so it's easy enough to see. And then you pull it through. See, I'm gonna have to go sideways and do it. Now you have 2 loops, and you will take your working yarn and you will flip it around and grab it and go through both of your loops. And this way you have, excuse me, that was a jet. Sorry. You go through the whole braid. And you go and you grab it in between, and make sure also this is loose. You don't want to have a tight border, so your blanket will totally curl. So this is what you do the whole way around. You just flip the yarn around and grab it, so you constantly work with that 1 loop. And it's just extra security, and it looks so good. I love the way it looks, especially for baby blankets. There we go. We're just going to go fast around. And I do have a whole border tutorial if you need further instructions here on YouTube. But you just you work your way around. And when you are here at the end, you will tie the yarn together. And you will again braid it and fuse it together. And I have those little tags. You can find them in my link tree. It's just to say it was made with love, and it just adds a little personality to them. I am so excited about this. I got them in different colors, but I think this one looks good. So this is what it looks like with the border. I think it turned out super cute. Let me know what you think. And yay for your first blanket.